Good morning. Today we're going to open your eyes to an incredible world of Feng Shui. There's 6,000 formulas that have been passed down to 5 of us in the world on the effects of the environment on people in buildings. So if we go and we have a look at a building, for example, let's have a look. The most important thing when you're going to go buy a building or when you're staying in a building is the morphology of the property. You've got to have a higher mountain behind the property, and you've got to have water or lower ground in front of your property. The mountain behind the property gives support to the people, and it protects from the wind. So if you look at Cape Town, for example, it's called the Cape of Good Hope because of the big storms that used to be there in the old days. So what happens is if you put a mountain behind it, it protects it from the cold wind. You see, the cold wind tries to come into the city, and the warm wind coming from below is protecting it. So a city which is built with a mountain in the old days, people would live in homes like this where they had a mountain behind and they had a river in front. Today they go and live in buildings like that. So the higher the buildings, the faster the wind goes through there, and when the wind rubs on a building, it creates a very strong electromagnetic field on the building, and this is what causes people to get sick. And the chi, the life-giving force, is around the building. So the two things that get rid of the wind is that get rid of the chi, that life-giving force, is the wind. So if you go and you live on top of a building right up there, the wind is taking all that chi away. So people battle to have their health, they've got serious health problems, and then also the fertility goes down the drain. So if you go and you have a look at a city, for example, if you go have a look at down here in Cape Town, Western Cape, the size of the families today are 2.75 size of the family, whereas in Joburg, where there's not too many mountains, it's 2.25. So this is, if you go and you have a look at the statistics, it'll show you the size of the family from 1947 to 1970 has dropped from 4 children in a family down to 2.5. So this is a serious problem that we're having globally. The fertility has gone down 40% just in 30 years. And it's because where people are staying. In the old days, you'd live in a house, you had a beautiful river in front of you, you had a beautiful mountain behind you which was bringing the energy in and was stopping the wind, because the two ways energy moves around, it's moved by wind, which is Feng, and Shui, which is water. So it's got nothing to do with plastic frogs, all this stuff that you hear out there, little plastic dragons and all this rubbish. This is hogwash. This is a science. This is a very serious science. And for the first time, I've been studying this for 33 years. It's the first time I'm going out to release it to the world this year. So you'll see a lot of us. So would you go stay in a building like this? The wind will kill you. It's far too fast. You know, beautiful. Yes, you got a beautiful view, but you got to look at all the guys that have been in buildings like this. They lose everything. This is a beautiful townhouse complex, fantastic. But do you realize what this is doing to people? For example, if you have a look over here, you can see there's a road. The buildings, the wind cannot go through this building or that one, and it cannot go through those buildings, so it squeezes between the road. And it creates a dead end here. So the people who are going to be in this house here are going to get very sick, and also the fertility will drop. If you go a bit closer and you have a look, you can see a building. This we call sick building syndrome. So you'll see the buildings are bleeding, this black stuff. If it does this to concrete, what will it do to the people in the house? So you go and when you're driving home tonight, wherever you see a T-junction onto a person's house, the whole road will be not for sale, not for sale, not for sale, not for sale. The house where the road has a T-junction on there, you'll see there's a little for sale sign. Because the person becomes sick, he cannot go to work, and he cannot pay his loans, and the bank comes and takes it away, and the next poor soul moves in there. So you've got to be careful where you're staying. If you sit down and you have a look at the following building, for example. What about these buildings here? What do you think about these buildings here? They got a problem because we said a building's got to have a mountain behind. You cannot have water. You cannot have a pool behind a house. You cannot have a big lake behind a house. You cannot have a river behind a house, because if you do, the mountain that protects you and brings the chi into the property, which allows people to have children, is gone. So all these people here with these beautiful, beautiful villas, but if you go there, you'll find they got problems, and they'll go for IVFs and many, many problems. So you fix up the environment, and if you still need to go to your doctors, by all means go, because they do a wonderful job. I speak with a lot of gynecologists. I've got a very famous one that we're doing work with here in South Africa. And she was telling me, for example, they couldn't fall pregnant. And it was the problem of the sperm of the husband. And what had happened, he was putting eye drops in his eyes. And it had steroids inside. So 2 months after he stopped those eye drops and he got another type of eye drops, the sperm was normal. It was moving around where there was no motility in the sperm. So you definitely need the doctors in the industry, because they've studied this in great depth. But if you can get your house right, it'll definitely help people. So what about these homes on the opposite side of the road? You have a look here. We call it a bow and arrow effect, because the wind travels faster on the outside part of the curve than on the inside. So if a person is on the outside part of the curve, it will kill that building. For example, that building. Can you see how even the marble is going black here and there? It's killing the building. If you look at this stuff long enough, wherever there's a T-junction or you're on the outside part of the curve. So go look at where you're staying. A building will affect you guys, your health, your relationships, your money. If you go and if I'm giving you a key today for the first time in the world, go open your eyes and see what's causing the problem. Everyone is the same. There's some environmental problem causing this, guys. I see this very often, and it's so beautiful to help people. You go out and you help these people that are having problems, and it's the best payment is to see this, you know. So it's an incredible. So we look at the human aspect. How do we do this? We scientists. We look at the human aspect. Every human has got a different fingerprint. Every human is different. So you put people to be, you take their birth chart, and from there we calculate a birth chart. The green areas are very good areas in the building for the person to stay. If you're sleeping on the red areas, forget about falling pregnant or anything happening in your life. You'll always be sick. There'll be serious problems. So this lady here, for example, you see the door was south facing. It's -90. So when I open that door there, the whole house fills up with that red, bad energy, because when you open the door of a house, it's the wind. The wind brings in that energy. So you got a river of sewage here. If you step in it and you bring it in the house, the whole house will stink of sewage. Whereas if you got you see that was her house here, and the door was on the -90%. It's -90% bad. So how are you going to fall pregnant if you bring in that energy in the house? When you put the door on this specific lady's birth chart, and for the specific year that she was born, and the birth chart says this, if she's coming in from +90%, then you put the door there. As you open the door, it brings that beautiful green energy inside. You got a river of Chanel there. You step in it, your house will smell beautiful. You know what I'm saying? So it's a science. You go and you put your door, instead of over here where it was -90%, we put it to +90. We're not, we scientists. In the bedroom where this lady was staying, she was sleeping minus 90 direction. Everything, you lose everything. You start having serious problems. You start having tachypnea, claustrophobia, difficulty breathing. You'll have, your hands will sweat. You'll have serious health problems. Everything, your business will go to hell if you go to sleep there. So what do? You take the person from there in the room and you put them to sleep plus 90. Finished. So you put it to sleep there and voila, the results. It fixes the health of the person up. So for example, if you're sleeping on a bad magnetic field, this is the person's birth chart. But we also look at the aspect of time. Time also affects people. For example, you have a tree. It'll produce beautiful fruit in summer. Will you ever get fruit out of a tree in winter? Very difficult. So you've got to look at the timing. Everything is born here. It grows up here, reaches prosperous. Everything goes well in your life. You get old, sick, and die. Everything follows this chart in a person's life. So we got a chart, buildings got something called the period 8 from 2004 to 2024. In 2024, the chi, the energy in the building dies. And then if you're living in that building, you'll have serious problems in your life. So for example, there's different cycles of time. They go period 8, 9, 10. I've translated all this Chinese stuff into little numbers so you guys can understand on graphs. So this person's house here, for example, was facing period 7. So when you're facing period 7, when will you have luck? When are you going to have a child? You can't have a child in period 8 because it's past. It's 1984 to 2004. You understand what I'm saying? So you need to go to the next period. For example, this person's house, you can see the doors at an angle there, guys. Can you see these doors? Or put it at an angle. And it catches a different period. So you'll have a child between 2004 to 2024. So it brings in period 8. In period 9, in 2024, you go change your door again, and it brings the next cycle in. So you got a building over here. This lady was sleeping. This is her birth chart and everything. The previous lady that was talking. So a building, as the wind blows over a building, it creates 81 different electromagnetic fields in the building. And these things, depending where you're sleeping, they photocopy themselves onto you. And these things, you put an apple in a Xerox machine, you'll get an apple. So these things, depending where you sleep. So this lady here had a door where the 6 is. You see that 6 there? You remember we said her door was south. So the 6, when will the 6 bring luck into her life? She'll have a child in 2144 to 2166. She'll be in menopause by then, guys. It's far away. So you got to make a plan. A boer maak 'n plan, 'n Griek maak 'n trick. So you got to go there, and you go and you find out where the 8 magnetic field is, for example, on the building, and you put the door there. We broke a window. I told her God closes a door and he opens a window. So we went to a window, we broke the window, and we put a door in there, guys. And by putting a door in there, when it brings that 8 in there, you see that 8 there. When will the 8 bring the child? 2004 to 224. It's all about timing. So you can try. Good luck to you if you're going to have a child, if you've got a 6 door there. It'll never happen, guys. So this is what people are, you don't have the knowledge. This is knowledge. This is a science. So we put her to sleep. She was sleeping on a 1-6. So the 1, when will the 1 bring the child? 2024 to 2064. It's far away. You take and you put it to sleep west, where the 8 is, for example, in this building. And when will the 8 work? 2004 to 224. So voila, I'm a scientist, I'm not a magician. So you use science to fight this thing. So I'll give you another quick talk. Tia will come and talk to us. Welcome. So I met here by mistake some time ago, and we sat down and I did some Feng Shui for them, so she can tell you a quick story. Quick one.
Guys, how are you doing? Right, so a little bit about my background. I studied interior architecture and a little bit about my background. I studied interior architecture and I come from a family of property developers. So, of course, I was going to be thrown into the family business as my sister is quite girly and I'm the boy in the family. So my fate was sealed. Having studied interior architecture, I always used to think that the most beautiful thing about a home is how it looks, the furniture, how it's positioned, and that's exactly what I had designed for myself. I was quite young and fortunate because of obviously my family being in property development, that I got a house from my parents that I had designed perfectly. Everybody used to come and wow and oh. Anyway, we develop residential properties in Morningside and Bryanston. So the first complex I was involved with my family was 35 homes. And I basically had 35 studies and later on 15 studies of what happens to people when they go into a house. And it was very difficult to understand that how a beautiful house can do something ugly to a person. How I started searching for Feng Shui, there was a client that said to me, it was a Taiwanese client that said to me, I'm just going to bring my uncle, he needs to check something for me. So I said, no problem, you know, because I've got my clients come from all sorts of backgrounds. We do different prayers. We do different prayers on foundations, wonder movement, and I go with everything because I love being involved in different cultures. And the guy came and he was measuring something, and then he started pointing towards my house and talking negatively. So I said to the guy, what is he saying? He didn't know that was my house. And I was like, what are you saying? What are you saying? He's like, no, don't worry, you don't understand, as if I'm ignorant and I will not accept the knowledge. So he said, no, he's reading your Feng Shui numbers, and he just says it's better to live on this side of the road than that side. So I said, could I have his details? Because I moved into my home when I was 23 or 24. And I had severe endometriosis. I still have severe endometriosis. And I was sick all the time. So I kept on saying to my now husband, something is wrong with me, they're missing it, my kidneys are failing, I'm going to die, and they're not going to know. Going to doctors, x-rays, MRIs, God knows what, nobody could find what was wrong with me. I was young, and I was sick all the time. So that's why when the client pointed towards the house and the guy was speaking negatively about it, I took interest. So it took me about 2 years after that, because they never gave me the details, to try and find a Feng Shui master. And I found my best friend the one day, and she said, oh no, Charlie's just moved into his office and we're here with a Feng Shui master. So I said, please can I have the details, because I've been looking for one, because I would like to find out what's wrong with me, because at that time I was about 28, 29, and nobody can find what's wrong with me, and I'm sick all the time. So I spoke to Master Chris for about 4 hours on the phone. He came through to our house. Unfortunately, not all houses can be saved, and that was our house. So it was like a beautiful trap. If you could see what it looked like, you would think, how could this place make you unhappy? Anyway, we were always fighting, but I have the most incredible husband, so he always put up with my personality. So the beginning phase of why I wanted to have Feng Shui in our life was to actually fix our relationship, because it was always, I mean, if you're sick all the time, you don't go home and you're not like a butterfly, you know, jumping up and down, wanting to celebrate life. You're like, I'm dying, you know, my time is counted and I don't have time to clean after you. That was basically our daily conversation in the house. Once Master Chris told me the story of what the house is doing to me, we decided to move from the house, because at the end of the day, if you don't have health, you don't have anything. We had used endometriosis as natural contraception because we were told we would never be able to have a child. So we were very relaxed about that. We knew it would be IVF one day, but we were very busy. So anyway, we moved into the new house in March, and in January we're pregnant, and there's the little proof of that. So when I found I was pregnant, I was like, oh my God, how did this happen? One of my best friends owns the fertility clinic at Park Lane, and she was also surprised at how this could have happened. So basically, even though we brought Feng Shui into our life for different reasons, we ended up having a beautiful, healthy child. Pregnancy was always one of the dark points for me because my sister had had a stillbirth at 8 months. She also has endometriosis. And my little niece was born sick, and we had to go through quite a lot. She's okay now, but I always thought that if it happens to me, that it would never be easy. And I'm not saying pregnancy is a nice thing to go through. I'm not going to lie. It's a very hectic thing to survive. But I mean, at the end of it, you have a baby, and you know, I cannot imagine my life without him, and I'm so grateful for what happened. So with that being said, all my clients that moved in, I saw who got divorced, I saw who couldn't have children, I saw who moved out, who did better. So I basically have real life studies that I wasn't looking for, that I know that the science works. From the changes in our lives, I also made my parents move to a new house because my dad was very ill. And what we saw, we decided to design a whole new residential development with master that took about 2.5 years because it may sound easy. It's easy to design a house. It's very difficult to design a house according to the Feng Shui principles. So we tried to fix and fix and fix, and in the end we said, let's design a complex, let's change people's lives. So yes, it's different. We are the first ones around. Yes, a lot of people look at us like, what are you talking about? You know, but Feng Shui is not about the positioning of a frog or a vase or having a red wall in the house. It is about the energy of the home. It's where you sleep. It is also person dependent. So it's different for every single person. So that's what we did, and I really hope that we are launching the complex quite soon. And I hope that I'm going to be able to change 19 people's lives, like my life changed, without me expecting it. And I'm so grateful to everything you have done for us, and especially to have met you and have you as a part of our life. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Tia. So it's an amazing science. You go and you change people's lives, literally and figuratively. For the first time ever, I'm sick and tired of going and seeing people's houses that are a disaster. And they go and they battle to fall pregnant. And you see townhouse complexes of 600-700 homes. They have huge problems because they've designed the stuff wrong. And we took the time to look at all the mountains in the area. There's 6,000 variables we look at to design a complex like that. So you get aerial photos, you measure every angle of every mountain coming in, and you've got to balance these homes. So we went ahead and we balanced these homes. So for example, for Tia, what would you do here? This is their front door over here, guys. What would you do over here? The direction is -70, no good. So what do? We go and we change it. We built a wall there and put a door in there. What direction is this here? It's +60. So it changes the things. Where would you put Tia to go stay in her house if that's her birth chart? You'd go put her here? No. Here? No. You'd put a bed over there. Why? Because it's 70% good, and there's the 8 there. It'll bring the child now in your life. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a science. So there's how the building is. We went and we put a door in for them because it was an existing townhouse complex. And this is what it looks like. So Tia enters this side and Wesley enters that side. They're different birth charts. And that's how it's a science. It's a pure science. Yes, 1 second. And that's Tia, I'm almost finished. So we went and we designed a whole townhouse complex, this complex here, where we're going to tailor-make it. It's the first time ever it's been done where you tailor-make it. Which year are you born? You put the person in that direction. If the person is in the right direction, the person's health, relationship, money, all that stuff comes right. We went to, out of the 90 townhouses that Tia had, I walked through their townhouse complex and I said, this guy's got this problem, that guy's got that problem, that guy's got that problem. And she knows everyone. because in the past they built the townhouses like this, and she refuses to go and destroy people's lives like that again. Whereas if you build the houses right, many things in your life will change. So this is what we actually went and did. It's all in where you put the bed, etc. Any questions? So if anyone needs anything to find out a bit more, I don't want to steal any time from someone else. You've got my numbers, you can speak to Mary.